Have you ever wondered why certain people in your environment seem to get results quicker? And wondered to yourself, what is it? What is it about me that's just not getting the result? Why is it I can't get lean? What is the issue here? It must be me. Watch till the end of this video and you know exactly what that reason is. For the most part, you have to understand all of us have a massive ego. So you must realize that your mind is a completely different thing, separate from most things that you can ever really understand. So if I was to get a surgeon and they opened up your body, specifically your head, right? They would find your brain, but they wouldn't find your mind, right? So with that being said, there's a uniqueness to every single individual. But what people do that tends to keep them stuck is they stay in the same confines of their own mind. You know, their limiting beliefs hold them back. And what I noticed getting transformations from clients like Raj, Stuart, Kameo, and Joe was that it was about the compounding negative limiting beliefs that has held them back for years. And that was the reason why they just couldn't seem to push past what seemed to be to them like an external problem. But it was never external, it was internal. See, you think about the outcome of getting lean before summer, but internally you are not the person who can actually go about getting lean for summer. Because if you were the person, you would already be lean, guys. So what you need to understand is it's about actually doing the self-awareness, self-actualization of who you are. Because what keeps people stuck is that they're almost in this quicksand of not realizing that if they don't go against what's being programmed from generations in cultures, if they don't go against current environments that they've built up themselves, friends, peers, dynamics, social dynamics, if you don't go against that, then you're always going to be in the exact same position you were. So now the real question is, how do we actually collapse time so I can do this, right? How you collapse time is you speed run the version of you that has everything that you want, but you understand it from that lens, from that identity, right? How does the person that How does a person go from being either overweight, skinny fat, build muscle, but still relatively has a higher body fat percentage? How do you get lean? I have to extrapolate this from every walk of life. So if I'm talking about every single culture, Asian, Western society, South America, Europe, the UK, everywhere across the world, there is specific habits that's being indoctrinated in your mind that you have to become aware of. You have to spot it, and you have to be able to tell that this is coming from this source, because once you've analyzed it, then you can just go against in a completely different direction. See, what most people fail to understand is that they're actually not aware of what's currently going on. You might pretend like you know what's going on. You might pretend that you have the knowledge, but if you actually had the knowledge and you were the person who could actually take the action consistently, then you'd already be at your goal. So whatever walk of life, you have to really self-analyze that culture itself. So for me, it's my Irish, African background. I'm Irish, African American. I know it's a bit of a mix, right? But what I understood, especially I'll talk about the African side of things, so Nigeria, is there are foods like jollof rice, there are foods like pounded yam that are 1,000,000 calories that honestly, you will never be able to get lean eating that because you can't exactly track it. But what you can do is that you can understand that I understand that my mum, my sister, whoever is making this food has put love into that meal for me. So you could just obviously not tell them that, oh, I don't want to eat your food anymore. You're just making me fat. No, it's about realizing the situation, because if you have an attachment towards the outcome, then what's going to happen is that energy that you're putting out, the aggression towards something that realistically can and will be in your control, you just simply minimize the risk, but in a more neat frequency. So you operate in the frequency of understanding that I just need to do this the smart way. So the smart way is watching how the meal's being cooked, seeing the foods to avoid, and making the healthier option, the more healthier choices. Everywhere we look, there's healthier choices. So in your culture, if that's Asian culture, if that's South American, North American culture, Europe culture, look at the healthier options. There's always a healthier option, but the healthier option, you have to make sure it's high in protein and it's low calories. Everywhere you look, there's those options, but you're just currently not looking. That's the problem. Now that you've watched this video, you're aware, which is a really good start, because now you can consciously adopt this framework. But like I was saying, the identity comes from the emotional attachment you have to food. You have a very strong emotional correlation with food. And I think when stress comes into your life, this is what I've noticed with my clients, when stress comes into your life, food is a healer for you. It's a thing where you can binge constantly, but what you need to understand is you can still binge food, guys. That's the thing everyone gets wrong. You can binge foods, you just don't know the healthier options. So for me, what I binge on is 0% Greek style yogurt. I've got a sweet tooth. I have that with berries, and that's literally like 200, 300 calories. I could have 5 of that and still be within my caloric deficit. And you need to find that for yourself. This is how you systematically make it easier to get leaner before summer. And once you've nailed this approach between your culture, then you'll notice it in everyone else's cultures as well. And now that you can really just take yourself outside of your culture for once and stop pigging out on other food. I know cultural food is tasty, it's been seasoned, it's been passed down, but it's not like once you get lean, you can never eat your healthier foods. You can even do it now. It's just, you're just not the person who can do it yet. So it's rather you just have a specific level of understanding and knowledge, which is why I make these videos, so everyone is a lot more knowledgeable, because 90% plus aren't. You're not. And that's the reality. Nutrition is 80 to 90% of the results. And once you become a little bit more smarter in how you approach your strategy towards nutrition, then it's game over. Another thing is when you're lean, the thing that people obsess over, but the thing that's more important is having visible abs. So you need to train your abs. Your abs is like every other muscle, guys. You can't be skipping out on not doing your abs. Like, honestly, you have to do your abs 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. You don't need to do it every day. You don't need to do it every day. It's literally just 2 to 3 times a week. You can spread it out however you like. But with that, you have to add weight. You can add weight on the leg raises. You can put a dumbbell in between your feet and just, or you could put it in between your knees and knee raise, leg raise. You can use an ab roller as well. That's on Amazon. It's on, just Google ab roller. Obviously, if you're not that, let's say, far or like a little bit advanced, because that's probably intermediate level. Yeah, intermediate to advanced, I'd probably say. So beginners, just do weighted ab crunches. So have a kettlebell and just crunch, or you could use a dumbbell, whatever weight you can use to crunch, right? You don't want to just be doing an ab crunch with body weight. You don't want to do realistically any ab circuit training without any weight. You want to be using weight all the time. Unless you're doing leg raises, because gravity pushes you down. So you just go to failure with that. And then eventually you can progress into using weights. So this is the guide to actually getting lean before summer. And if you guys honestly have found this helpful, do give me a like, do give me a comment, and follow for more, guys. Peace out.